I'm just going to get right into it. So for those that are watching, welcome to the pod. We're here today with Wil DeYoung. What's your official, I mean, you're Chief Luthier, Grand Builder, what's the?
Grand Poobah?
Grand Poobah?
No.
Of Spector Custom Shop?
Shop manager of the Spector Custom Shop.
Shop manager of Spector Custom Shop. Share with people a little bit about you. Where did music start for you? And give us, if you can, just summarize the journey of like from musician to crafting instruments. Tell us about that.
Yeah, real brief history.
Yeah.
Grew up in northern Michigan. Parents just loved music. It was everywhere in the house, in the car. Would go on road cruises just to listen to music. It was very much an integral part of my life. And so, like most kids, 5th grade band, started playing trombone first, actually, and then saxophone, and picked up guitar because other kids were playing guitar. Went to school for music. And while I was there studying guitar, I took a guitar to a repair shop, had a setup done, might have had pickups changed, and was just blown away at the difference a good setup made on my instrument. I was like, wow, if a setup can do this, what can any number of other things do? And at the time, I didn't know that you could recarve a neck or round over a body or refinish or change the electronics, any of that stuff. So as time went on, I learned more, and I started to do more myself, started taking stuff apart, as a lot of repair people and builders do. Take it apart, put it back together, see how it works. And it really came from a place of how it affected my playing. And I messed up a lot of guitars.
Sorry,
made
the people
a lot
that
of
are out there
guitars
listening and you messed up their guitar.
And not other people's, my own guitars. I would buy a guitar and work on it myself. Never mess up anybody else's guitar. And then I got to know, while I was working in a repair shop, got to know a really great builder named Denny Kopp in Ohio. Builds beautiful art shop guitars, flat top guitars, mandolins.
One.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to have a guitar of his. And he let me come by his shop anytime I wanted. And I spent a lot of time there with him and really got the bug and wanted to build. And then when my wife, girlfriend at the time, moved out to New York, followed her out here and said, I need to figure out something to do. I want to be building guitars. Why don't I try to do that?
That's awesome.
And very fortunate to have pestered the people at Federa enough into giving me an interview, and started building, and that was it. And I just did everything I could to keep building and doing every part of the job at some point, and just try to make good instruments.
Yeah. And so in the repair side and that journey, what was some of like the really important takeaways for you that you have now really spoken into when it comes to like building something from scratch?
There are a lot of builders that talk about that. They've probably spoken more eloquently about it than I will, but there are so many lessons you can learn from repairing instruments to seeing what goes wrong in an instrument, things that you just need to be aware of when you're building an instrument from the start. And simple little things like when you refret an instrument and you feel how sharp the edge of the fretboards are and you want it broken in, or someone brings you an old instrument that's really broken in and it's got those rounded fretboard edges like that makes such a big difference. That's a huge thing. Sure. How big of an impact string gauges can have on intonation, on playability, on nut height, and what people expect out of a good setup too. Like what a factory instrument should feel like, what a generic setup, what people will be comfortable with, but also educating them enough to know that everybody's touch is different. Everybody's expectation is different. But
if I was coming to you and I said, "Hey, Wil, I'm ready to get a custom bass," where do you as a builder want to start the conversation with me?
What do you have?
Okay, for the sake of comparing and contrasting, like what are you trying to get? Like likes, dislikes?
Yeah, it's a lot of that. I just want to get to know you, to know what you have, what you like, why you have what you have. What it does for you, what it doesn't do for you. And hopefully I know what those instruments are, because that's the other side of it. You know, I'm assuming a lot based on an instrument that I think I have an idea of in my head. If you tell me I've got a 63P bass, I know what that is. If you say I've got a custom bass made by someone else, I'm going to ask you, what are the woods? What's the scale length? What's the spacing at the nut? What's anything? All of those things will come together in an instrument that's ultimately what you like or don't like, and I want to find out what that is.
What's the foundation for these instruments?
It starts with sound, but you have to consider feel too, and that's That's kind of the easier one to me, almost.
Feel?
Yeah.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because if I'm finding out what you like and what you don't,
Yeah.
I'll help you get in a direction. If you know you like a super thin neck, like you've got a late 60s jazz bass that's got the super narrow nut and super thin carve, that's easy. I'm not going to build you a baseball bat neck. But the sound thing is so much more subjective. Of course, feel is subjective too, but it can be as simple as, I love the sound that Marcus got on this specific Miles record, or it can be, I really like a warm sound. That gets tough. When it's that vague, you need to dig into a little more. Okay, what does warm mean? Does it mean a really fat, like, attack, not a super sharp attack? Does it mean a really dark tone?
Yeah, because someone's articulate could mean someone's harsh.
Yeah, for sure.
When you say warm, for you, what bodywoods come to mind?
Alder rosewood is an easy combination for warm. It's tested, tried and true.
Yeah.
You know, you think of a 60s P bass, 60s jazz bass, that's a lot warmer sound in general than a 70s jazz bass or P bass. That's ash, usually heavy ash, maple fretboard. Those are the easy starting points because most people know that. They have a history. They've been around for a long time. So those are easy points to start out with, but it can get way more deep from there because warm could also mean all mahogany. Gibson short scale basses. You know, you think short scale mahogany, rosewood, really fat humbucker sound. Like that's way in the other direction, but that could be warm to someone versus 60s P bass warm.
Yeah.
And so it's using all those tools to figure out where is someone landing or where they're coming from.
Now I want to go back to feel because you talked about that being actually a little bit of easier starting point. What are some tips or what are some things, you know, you could share to people who are listening? They're saying, okay, if I've got an instrument at home right now and I'm trying to figure out if X, Y, or Z feels right, what are you asking them to give you comments on? Is it neck? Is it body? Is it weight? Like, where do we start this conversation?
I think the biggest factor is the neck. So your left hand, I mean, that's the place where you're interacting the most with the instrument, where the most comfort or discomfort can come from in an instrument. And I say it's easy. I don't mean to say that's like you come to me and give me a vague idea. I can give you a neck that's super comfortable.
But I take care of it.
It can be very particular and very nuanced, from the shape of the carve to the spacing at the nut to how the neck tapers, how much distance there is between the string and the edge of the fretboard. All of these things can matter, but the easiest way to do it is, again, just go play a bunch of basses. Play different basses. Go into a shop, play things that are not like what you have, and see if you notice a difference. And if you do, or if you don't, talk to someone. Talk to the salespeople. Talk to, if they have a tech there, say, hey, this is what I've got. How does this differ from what I've got? And hopefully they'll be kind enough to answer.
And how does, and this might sound like a simple or dumb question, but how does music play a part in this?
I mean, that's the ultimate question. It's about the whole point of this, of what we do, why we're here, why we have jobs in this industry, is because we care about making music. And an instrument, a custom instrument, a stock instrument, anything should just help you get your voice out, inspire you to do something different. That's the other side of instrument. You could spec something out that's not at all what you think you want because you want inspiration in a different way. That's another thing I love about the fact that there's so many different instruments, that I've had so many different instruments, because they all inspire you to do something different that another instrument might not. But it does come from a place of music. As I said, the repair journey got it, started for me because I was interested in how it affected my playing and what I could do or not do based on how the guitar was set up or what the pickups were, whatever.
All right. So, Will, let's have some fun. I actually, whether you knew it or not, I do want to get another custom instrument. Okay. I've had instruments in the past, and so but treat me as if I'm someone who's green right now. Will, I can start here. I want a 4-string bass. If I was coming up to the custom shop, hit me with the next question.
You're coming because you want a 4-string bass?
I do.
And you want a Spector 4-string bass?
I do.
What is it that you're looking for?
What do I want? I do want a jazz bass. So my main instrument is a P bass right now. That's a PJ. I use it all the time, but it obviously is not a jazz bass. But I also don't know what that necessarily means because I have a jazz bass pickup in it. But I know there's a jazz bass that I want. I actually do need help trying to figure this out.
Okay.
So,
all right. So the bass you've
let's start there.
So the bass you've got is ash maple. You got
mine's
two
is ash
basses
maple.
that are ash maple. Actually,
yeah, actually, both my basses are ash maple. Yes.
That's where you're coming from.
Correct.
Is that a sound acoustically that you're comfortable with?
I don't know. I do want something. So the ash maple, it's like I feel like I get that kind of natural dip in the mids a little bit with the board. It's like big on the bottom and top, but I'm losing stuff in the mid range.
Okay.
And I feel like a jazz bass would get me closer to that. But I also really do love a P bass pickup. But again, I think that ash maple, I do love it, but it's a thing, and there's something else I don't have. So my brain right now is going like, oh, alder rosewood, J kind of thing. Is that wrong?
No, those are kind of the classic. I don't want to say tropes, but like
Sure.
those are the prime examples of an ash body and a maple fretboard versus an alder body and a rosewood fretboard, and those are two very good staples to start with. But if you're so used to ash maple, knowing this isn't for everybody. This is knowing you and knowing the sound that you like and the snap that you get and how aggressive you can be with your right hand.
Yeah, I can.
You might still want a maple fretboard.
Okay, but I want to go warmer.
Yeah, okay. So that's easy. So there's a couple things we can do.
I love that. See, that's easy. There we go.
We can go alder body, easy.
Okay.
You can go mahogany body is even warmer. It's a little bit heavier.
Okay, but hold on, because mahogany, and I think we might have said this earlier in pod. Yes, I attribute that to short scale, Gibson-y, big humbucker. What's mahogany going to give me versus alder?
The mid-range you're missing.
So the alder isn't even enough, you think, to get us closer to that?
Not that it's not enough.
Okay.
It's different flavors.
Got it.
So your ash is typically scooped. That's what most people come to associate the sound of ash bodies with. Alder is a little more. It's nothing is flat EQ wise, but alder is more on the flatter side. So it's certainly got more mids.
Okay.
A little less high end than your ash does. And then mahogany goes even further in that direction. So if you want even more low mids, maybe a little less snap.
Mids. Yeah.
Mahogany's going to do that for you.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do on the pod. Guys in post-production, in the middle here, you're going to put Jordan's bass, and then we're going to start to bullet out the specs so I have a sheet to give him by the end of this episode. So I'm going to get a little bit of a lower mid-range push from the mahogany. Okay, yeah. I like where this is going. I also love how mahogany looks. Okay.
That's a huge factor. Obviously, some people spec out their entire custom instrument based on the looks. I think sound is just as important, depending on who you are.
Okay.
But that's one of the most fun things about this too, is because we can spec out this whole thing based on sound alone.
Let's do it.
but then you can have the follow-up conversation and say, cool, how do you want it to look? Do you like this Spector maple top? Do you like Buckeye? Do you like flame maple? Like all of these things we can tweak and change the look of it after we figured out the tone thing, or you can do it in the inverse.
See, but even just now, like you just said some stuff that I'm like, don't like that.
Yeah, okay.
Don't like that.
All right, so what do you...
So hold on. So we've got the mahogany.
Yeah.
I like where this is going. Yeah. Okay. Now you said snap. Because yes, board. I do still like, maple board. What about Pal Ferro? I don't know why my Puerto Rican just came out. What about Pal Ferro? But Pal Ferro.
We've used Pal Ferro for so long. It's a very known wood for us. A lot of people think of it as a rosewood alternative. It's definitely not a rosewood. Well, I mean, you can consider it a rosewood alternative, but it's not like, I can't get rosewood, I'm going to go for Pal Ferro. It's its own thing, and it sounds awesome. It's brighter than rosewood.
Okay.
So it's...
But not something snappy, you would say, compared to maple.
Not compared to maple, no. I mean, and kind of the spectrum, you've got the warmer end of things are like Indian rosewood. And then as you start to go warmer, you've got pal farrow and you've got bird's eye maple. And then super crisp and clear is ebony. So you've got that spectrum you can ride.
And it's like too much ping on ebony.
Yeah, that's why I think maple's a good choice for you, especially knowing what you've got.
Okay, so we're crossing off ebony. We're crossing off pal farrow. And doesn't sound like rosewood's going to fit the bill. But maple with the mahogany sounds like where it's going.
I think rosewood isn't going to be the attack that you're used to, and you're going to feel something lacking in your right hand.
Good. I like this. Okay. All right. Hold on. So we got the woods. So add this to the chart, guys. Here, we're popping up in the middle.
Because
we've got mahogany, maple neck, and then maple board.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I want to make clear is it doesn't sound at any point like you've said, I want a total departure from what I've got. I need something totally different. I need different inspiration. Okay. You said to me, I've got this sound, but I'm missing a little something. So we're trying to find that happy balance. This is not giving you a brand new bass to inspire totally new things. It's I'm missing some mid-range. Let's figure out how to get it there.
So we got mahogany, maple, 34. I'm just going to say 21 frets. Because I feel like that's what I know. That's what I'm familiar with. You don't make any money on the 22nd or the 23rd or the 24th. We all know that. It's from the 19 down. That's a joke. Didn't land. But I feel like 21, it's just there's that familiarity of like spacing.
Well, let's put it this way. If you go out in the winter and it's super cold out,
go ahead,
and you've got layers on, are you going to leave that jacket at home because you think you might not need it, or would you rather have it and have it if you need it, but you don't have to use it if it's not that cold?
This dude. Oh, man.
There's no harm in having 24 frets. 24 frets is classic. That's what we've been doing for so long.
Fine, Will. I'll put 24 frets on it.
It's there if you want it. I like
how you just said that. It's there if you want it.
You don't have
to use it.
It's just like the preamp. The preamp is such an iconic thing for Spector, especially the Has preamp that we've been using since the 80s.
Yeah.
That Henry Zajac designed that has basically been unchanged since then. Mm-hmm. It's such an iconic sound. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to like start tweaking with it. It's just the sound is there. Great. Okay. If you want more bass boost, great. It's there.
Okay.
But you don't have to like come to it and be like, oh, I don't like active preamps. I don't need to mess with EQ. Great. If you don't want it, you don't have to use it. See, but it's there if you need it.
In real time, he's changed my mind. Okay, so we've got 24 frets bing, on the list. All right, so it sounds like we got kind of the basic recipe for tone woods right now, right?
Yeah, we've got the wood selected for sure.
Where do you want to go next? Where's the next step in that custom shop experience?
Well, let's talk about the neck.
Oh, okay. We're gonna say okay, cool. Let's go.
So all the builds that we do are maple necks. It's very classic. I have no idea what the number is, but I would argue probably 95% of basses have maple necks. Someone's gonna correct me in the comments. Yeah, we use maple necks. We also use roasted maple necks.
Okay.
The whole thing with roasted maple is that what happens to wood as it ages. Take a step back with me for a second.
I will.
As wood ages, the moisture in the wood dries up, crystallizes essentially, and the wood resonates more because it's got less moisture. It's less dense.
It's open.
The sound waves are more free to travel throughout the fibers of the wood than if it's full of moisture.
Sure.
Roasting the wood does exactly the same thing, but artificially. So you just put it literally in an oven at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time and crystallize that moisture in the wood. So
but it does sound different, right?
It does. Well, that's the point of it. Yeah, you want it to sound, in theory, like an old neck. Now, you can't ever exactly replicate that, but it does do, scientifically, it's doing what an old neck has taken 60, 70 years to do. Okay. So we offer both of those. A lot of people think it sounds more open, a little more acoustically alive because it doesn't have that water density. So that's an option for you as well. Same thing with the fretboard, because we didn't even talk about that. Roasted maple fretboard too, because then that ties in the whole look. We're starting to talk about aesthetics. You've got mahogany body, roasted maple neck, roasted maple fretboard, very warm looking bass.
Okay. I like that. Is it okay? You know what? I feel like because when you describe like what the snap and attack and like just even like I'm like, oh, that I love that sound. So I feel like I want to stick with this combo. Because I like
great.
what I'm feeling.
Cool. That's great feedback. And that's exactly the type of thing we
All right.
want. Oh, well, we are doing right now.
There we go. In real time. So we got maple. All right. Cool. Next.
Nut width, neck carve. Those are kind of the biggest things. I talked about that earlier. This is how you engage with the instrument. This is how you feel if it, feels good to you ultimately. Setup can change, nut height can change,
What's the nut
frets,
width
all
on
that
this?
stuff. That's 1.5.
1.5
inch nut width.
Keep it.
Great. That's the experience of playing a bass, feeling what you like. Great. Then we offer a thin carve and a standard carve. Our standard carve is a little chunkier carve.
Is this
more
a
like your P bass? Yep. More like your basses are going to have a chunkier carve, and that's something we're known for. Our thin neck also does the job of a thin neck. If that's something you like,
this carve is awesome. Seriously.
Cool.
All right. Sticking
Narrow
with
nut, standard
narrow
carve.
nut, standard carve.
Cool. All right.
Next, where we're going. This is cool. I'm literally getting a spec sheet by the end of this and a number.
All right. Electronics.
Let's do it.
You set up top. You want a jazz bass. You want a little more mid-range.
Yeah. Jazz bass.
2 jazz pickups.
60s.
It sounds easy. In vintage position. That's something. So both your basses are in vintage warm positions.
Yeah.
Spectors, traditionally, like 80s Spectors are known for having a really punchy sound, really aggressive, because that bridge pickup, both pickups are closer to the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah. So that naturally gives you a lot more attack, a lot more bite. We offer vintage spacing, which is closer to the fretboard. Vintage referring to vintage 60s basses.
Got it.
Not vintage Spector, by the way.
So we'll do 4J8Cs, honestly, which I have on my bass. I love them. Mm-hmm. They're spot on. So we'll stick with that. Preamp though wise, like I kind of like the convenience of passive because it's just less to. I feel like if I personally, I have less knobs. It's just less for me to think about. I like going
for sure.
Letting my hands do the rest.
I'm with you there. I do the same thing. If I have more knobs, personally, I think there's more stuff for me to mess with and try to find the right sound.
Sure.
But that's the beauty of it too, is that you can tweak it, and just like the number of frets, you don't have to use it. But if you need it, if you're in a weird room or you're playing a backline amp or something weird is going on, and you need to mess with your sound because it doesn't sound right in the room, but you know the bass is good.
Yeah,
that's the EQ can help you out, and that's such an easy thing to do.
So we're putting an OVP3 in it.
Great. I agree. Mid-range is crucial for the sound of the room.
Okay, cool. So we got the we got the electronics.
And because you want the passive option, we can do an active passive. Okay. We can do it on a push-pull or a mini toggle switch. Either way. Mini toggle?
Toggle.
So we'll put a mini toggle switch there for active passive so that if you want that passive thing, don't think about the knobs. Flip the switch.
Cool.
You're just passive.
All right.
Easy.
So we got the toggle. We got the electronics. Feel like we're rounding this up. Where it's aesthetics?
That's where we're going next. So we got to talk about hardware, but we can also talk about aesthetics at the same time. This bass that you've got here has the Badass bridge on it. So this is the new All Parts Badass bridge, which is a exact replica of the original Badass one, which I'm so stoked that we have those now.
There's like an attack that's just like it feels very like boom. Like
well, it's it's an all brass bridge. That was the huge thing in the 70s and 80s that everyone wanted high mass everything on their instruments. And that's when the Badass came out. We had those on the original Spectors. Now we can use them again.
Nice.
Occasionally people would call us and say, "Hey, I found this old Badass one on Reverb and I bought it. Can I send it to you to put it on?" And we've done that. And that's fine. If you got something custom that you want us to throw on the bass, we can do it. But we've got these now, and we can use these all day. So, I love it. Brass bridge, high mass, but it's still a smaller footprint. So it sits between our, this is our standard bridge. We offer these in aluminum or brass. When this is brass, that's a big brass block. Bridge, that's a lot of high mass. For the people that want the high mass thing, that's high mass.
Yeah.
This kind of sits somewhere in between. Certainly more like the brass because it is a brass bridge, but it's still.
So something we haven't talked about, though, I'm wondering, even as my specs are coming together, weight.
Yeah.
That's, to me, like, should you get something lightweight? Is something a little heavier? Is that better? Like, for those, because it does come up all the time.
Of course.
How do you talk to someone about that?
you can never guarantee a specific weight.
Sure.
If you're like, I want an 8-pound, 2-ounce base, it's like, no, we got to have some room. But there are totally choices we can make to help steer you in one direction or another.
Okay.
If you say I only play 5-hour wedding gigs and I need a base that's just going to get me through that gig, great. We can have that conversation.
Yeah.
And still have the scope of tone in the conversation, but knowing the whole time that weight is super important. How do you feel about this bass so far? I mean, this is not a super heavy bass.
No,
it would be pretty on par to this. This is a maple body wings, maple and mahogany.
Yeah.
Depending on the piece.
No, for me personally, I've always liked instruments with a little heft. My P basses are heavy. So I would like to shave a little bit, but I also don't like when it's too light because I feel like there's something missing. I like, oh, okay, this is got some
that's
heft.
kind of one of the nice things about this shape too, is that, and I said this earlier, I was very pleasantly surprised the more time I spent with this body shape, because again, I'm not trying to undersell the importance of Ned's design in this. It really, that was the whole point of this design. But it does make a difference. And because it's a smaller body, you inherently have a lighter weight than you would with most other types of builds.
And
so
the curve
if
is
you
very
want,
belly friendly.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we know.
We know. So this is single-handed.
We are the spokespeople for
the big
for the belly
health.
But it's a smaller body design. So if you want that punchy tone of maple, or if you want a really dense wood but still a lighter bass, this is already doing that for you because it is a smaller body design. So I have no worries about you and knowing your basses and doing a mahogany bass.
All right. So I'm not worried about that. Okay.
So we're back on aesthetics.
Yeah, back on aesthetics.
Do you like the Badass Bridge?
I do. I used to have it on my bass a long time ago, and I do like the history part of that too.
Cool. Well, the Badass is chrome or gold.
Okay. Chrome.
Okay, I knew that was coming.
No.
I have to ask.
No, but I think it feels different. I really love the look of those 70s mocha J's. Like that brown black combination.
Okay.
I think those look killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the cool things about those, especially because a lot of those were on ash, is that when you put that darker color on, the grain of ash is already darker. And then when you put that darker color on, it emphasizes that dark grain. I think we do mahogany. You've got a mahogany base, but we do that color stain.
Okay.
And with a dark grain fill, so the grain pops in the mahogany.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we can match the stain on the neck if you want, or we can leave the neck natural. You can do a two-tone thing.
Yeah.
Two-tone?
I'm genuinely excited. This is not like a joke.
So like a mocha stain, a dark grain filler on the mahogany. All right, so the headstock. Normally we do an ebony headstock, but you can see clearly we do custom options. So we can do a matching headstock. Mahogany. Match the body.
Yeah.
Or we can do maple and match the fingerboard all the way up.
Ooh, that. Let's do that.
Yeah, I like that look a lot.
I do.
Cool. Okay, so then we're talking inlays.
Okay, so I've always loved the block inlay look of those 70s too.
A lot of those had like mother of pearl or fake mother of pearl in a lot of those cases, block inlays. Do you want that like low contrast maple and mother of pearl thing, or do you want something that stands out?
No, what do you think? Okay, I will say this. One thing I do like about the blocks, and this is actually something custom I would want to do, is I want the 12th fret one to be green. Because I've always wanted something to remind me of my grandmother and the Bronx and our NYC green street signs, 138th and Brook Avenue, BX. I would love to do that. So that's why I was thinking about blocks.
I mean, do you want to do a green street sign inlay at the 12th fret?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. All
Custom inlays all
Custom
day.
inlays. Yes.
Do you want just the 12th fret?
No, I need to know where the other notes are. I'm actually one of those people that when I see a blank fingerboard, I'm like, no. I need that. I need the third dot to know that's E. All
right. So do you want the focus to be on the custom inlay and do dots to downplay everything else and bring the focus to the 12th?
That's a good point. Cool. I think if we did black dots, 12 fret custom inlay, I think that would fit the bill.
We could also do abalone, kind of ties in some of the green.
Oh, yes.
Just like this, abalone dots.
Yes.
And then we can do the same abalone Headstock logo.
Okay.
Tie it all together because you
Tie it
got the
all
maple
together.
going all the way through. Cool. Side dots.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't want no side dots?
No, I want side dots.
Do you like glow in the dark side dots? Is that a thing that's
I've never
important to
had
you?
glow in the dark side dots, so
Like,
'Cause
do
this has
you
it.
find yourself playing in dark clubs, moody clubs, venues,
personally no. But you know what?
or big
Why not?
stadiums when you're going on your stadium tour
I
and the
do
lights
play
are
the
all out
Barclays every
before the
weekend.
opening
Yes.
number?
Yes. Okay.
You need that glow in the dark
when I'm
side dot.
subbing for Amos Heller. Yes.
In all fairness, they are really nice, and there's a way to
Okay.
do kind of both.
Let's do
Just
it.
like this one, you've been looking at it the whole time.
I know.
You can do glow in the dark side dots that have a border around it, so it looks like a normal dot, and then you can also.
And you know what? They
glow in
got
the
like that
dark.
little green tint, so I kind of like.
They do, so we can
okay.
do green or blue. Let's lumen lay.
Ping,
side
add it to the
dots.
list. All right, so we're doing a glow in the dark side dots.
Yep.
Chrome hardware.
Great.
I love Chrome.
Chrome badass bridge.
Chrome badass bridge.
You talked about balance and
Yeah.
weight being somewhat important. Our standard Godo tuners are not heavy by any means. These are our standard Spector branded Godo tuners. We can also do Hipshot ultralights. They're a lighter tuner, save some weight on the headstock.
let's do that.
Balance might be a little bit better.
Yeah, let's do that.
Great. So you've
All
got
right.
a little more dense body, lighter headstock, helps that
Helps that balance out. Okay.
sit this way.
I
Cool.
like
That's
that
the move.
That's the move, by the way. when
No,
you-
you don't.
Don't
no.
do All right. So we got the hardware down.
And then there's little stuff we can get into too, like
Stop
the
it.
truss rod cover.
Stop it.
That's our standard truss rod cover. That's on most of our builds. But like, do you want something custom truss rod cover?
It would be cool to have a wooden cover.
Great. Do you want it to be maple to match everything?
Yes.
Great. Cool.
I just love how you just shrug your shoulders like, great, we can do that. Sure. Why not? Like with the little like, and it's
That's
like, okay,
fun.
cool, let's do it. All right, so we got that. We got the matching headstock on the maple. I like keeping it straight. We got the black dots, custom inlay, glow in the dark.
Strap locks. So these are Dunlop strap locks, the dual
Yep.
button. So you can use a normal strap or you can do strap lock.
Yes, I made that mistake once on an instrument. I had the flush mount. Can't ever get a strap. So yeah, let's do the dual.
Cool. I
All
mean,
right.
This sounds.
We're done.
The last thing I would say, we figured out the color:
Okay.
gloss or matte.
I like matte. I think
Yeah.
matte is a cool vibe.
It's a thinner finish for
Okay.
sure.
Sure.
You know, if you're conscious of the
Yes.
wood breathing
I
thing,
am. Okay.
like a lot of people are. Some people
Matte
don't
for
care about
thinner.
that.
Okay.
Gloss is definitely more protective.
Okay.
Matte's a
Nah.
little thinner, but yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you get that wear
Yeah. I want it to look
on your own over time.
Yeah, I don't mind a couple
Break
dings
it
and
in.
dents in there. All right.
Yeah.
Dude, did we just spec out my build?
Yeah. Call me in a couple months and we'll see where it's at.
Couple months tomorrow. Let's
I'm gonna go back up to the shop right now.
right now.
Start
Let's start
picking out the
building and
wood.
picking out the woods. I love it. Well, Will, this has been awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for
I'm
having
really
me.
happy that I finally have these specs sorted out. and I hope this was helpful for those that are listening. Don't be afraid to call these guys up, have a conversation. Even if you're not ready for a customer, just start having the conversation. Start talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Break
one
the
of the
ice.
most fun. Like you saw how much fun
It's fun.
this
it's
was
a legit fun
for Jordan. It
conversation.
really is,
Yeah.
and I have fun having these conversations.
Yeah.
Get started. Find out what you can do. Find out what's possible.
Yeah.
That's going to open the door to all sorts of things you didn't know were possible.
All right, you're a musician. Last question. I always ask, what are you listening to these days? Give us a record.
Ooh. This is going to be out of left field. Well, you know me, so maybe it's not. There's a violinist named Jeremy Kittle.
I have no idea who this person is. Is he?
Amazing
Okay, Jeremy
violinist,
Kittle.
amazing composer. He's worked with so many incredible people and has written tons of stuff that you've heard.
Love it.
He has a band called Kittle and Co.
Nice.
Unbelievable bluegrass instrumentation band
Look at
doing beautiful stuff.
Very
so
cool.
listen to Kittle and Co. They have
All
an
right.
album. I think it's called Whorls, WHORLS.
Okay. Very
Check
cool.
it out.
I'm going to check it out. Well, Will, thanks so much again, homie. I appreciate
Always.
you.